Imagine this. You book a flight, arrive at the gate, and instead of choosing a window or aisle, you are guided to a narrow row where passengers don't fully sit, they incline. Your feet are planted on the floor, and your body supported by a compact structure. It might sound like a distant concept, something pulled from a speculative future, but this is not imagination. Variations of this design already exist as certified prototypes, and they have been quietly evaluated with major airlines as a possible solution for short-haul flying in 2026. What once felt like a joke has become a serious conversation. By 2026, the economy seat will no longer be defined by comfort alone, rather by efficiency and the limits of what can be certified and monetized inside an aircraft cabin. Airlines are operating in an environment shaped by rising fuel costs and intense competition, where every kilogram saved and every additional passenger carried can determine profitability on a route. In this reality, the economy seat has become a tool which is engineered to meet strict safety requirements set by authorities such as the FAA and EASA. In 2026, seat manufacturers are responding with thinner frames and more upright seating geometry, designed from the ground up to pass certification with minimal excess. If stories like this fascinates you, subscribe to the channel for deeper aviation insights. Seat pitch, once the primary measure of comfort, is slowly losing relevance as posture and layout take its place, allowing airlines to preserve knee clearance while reducing overall cabin volume. At the same time, low-cost carriers like Ryanair are pushing the boundaries of density by questioning what a seat truly needs to be, exploring high-density layouts and semi-standing concepts for short flights where ticket prices matters the most. These ideas are not about removing safety, but about redefining the baseline of economic travel within the rules that already exist. Once a seat design and cabin layout are certified and installed, they remain in service for decades. This change is quiet, and once passengers adjust to this new normal, then there is no going back to what previous versions looked like. And to understand why this transformation is happening now, rather than earlier, it is necessary to look at how economy class evolved over time and why it has reached a point where further compromise is no longer incremental but structural. For much of commercial aviation's history, economy seating improved slowly, almost invisibly, with airlines adding marginal legroom on competitive routes or introducing slightly better cushioning to differentiate themselves without altering the underlying layout of the cabin. Even during periods of cost pressure, there remained an assumption that economy class had a lower limit, an unspoken line that airlines would approach but not cross, because crossing it risked public backlash or regulatory attention. That line is now being redrawn because the operating environment around them has fundamentally changed. Aircraft are flying longer sectors with higher utilization, narrow-body jets are replacing wide-bodies on routes once considered too demanding, and sustainability commitments are forcing carriers to account for emissions on a per-seat basis, making density not just a financial lever but an environmental one as well. Every additional seat lowers emissions per passenger, and every kilogram removed from the cabin reduces fuel burn across thousands of cycles, turning seat design into a critical part of airline strategy rather than a secondary consideration. Changes are subtle individually, but collectively they alter the experience of economy class in ways passengers may struggle to articulate, but immediately feel, sensing that movement is more restricted and personal space more defined by structure than by distance. The standing or semi-standing seat concept takes this logic further by challenging assumptions that have gone largely unquestioned since the early days of jet travel, particularly the idea that sitting fully reclined is the only acceptable posture for flight. Airlines like Ryanair view these concepts not as radical departures but as natural extensions of a model that prioritizes accessibility and frequency over onboard comfort, offering low fares in exchange for shorter journeys and fewer frills. While such configurations may never appear on long-haul flights, their introduction on short routes could normalize a new level of density that influences expectations across the industry, making traditional seating feel premium by comparison rather than standard. Legacy carriers, even those resistant to extreme layouts, are not immune to this shift because competitive pressure and passenger price sensitivity often force alignment with industry norms over time. Once travelers become accustomed to a denser baseline on certain routes, resistance to similar changes elsewhere weakens, especially when alternatives are limited or priced significantly higher. Through this gradual acceptance driven by availability and cost. The permanence of these decisions is what makes the year 2026 so significant, because aircraft interiors are long-term investments, and once a seat model is certified, installed in service, It becomes part of the fleet for decades, shaping not only passenger experience but also expectations of what economy class is supposed to feel like. Airlines rarely remove seats or increase spacing once they have demonstrated that a denser configuration can operate safely and profitably. Even when public sentiment shifts, the financial and logistical barriers to reversing such changes are immense. As a result, the economy cabins introduced in this period will likely define the lower boundary of commercial air travel well into the future, influencing everything from ticket pricing to cabin branding and upgrade strategies. The transformation underway is not dramatic on the surface, but its implications are profound because once the baseline shifts, it becomes the reference point for all future innovation. The next time you step into an economy cabin, take a moment to notice how little space there is to spare, and remember that it isn't accidental or arbitrary, but the result of countless calculations and decisions made far beyond the passenger's view. Every angle, every centimeter exists because it was proven acceptable within the limits of safety and cost. These seats quietly shape the way millions of people move across the world each day. So that's the story for today. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you on the next flight.